Hello friends, welcome to Dreamweaver Crocheting with Love. In today's tutorial, I am going to teach you how to crochet this puff stitch baby bonnet. Now this bonnet I have done for a 0 to 3 month old baby, but in this tutorial I shall do the same bonnet for a 3 to 6 month old baby. Further, in this tutorial I shall also teach you how to work the same bonnet for the babies in other age groups. This is a beautiful pattern baby bonnet as we are using puff stitches in form of V's. And it's also very easy to do. So now let's see how this is worked out. In order to make this bonnet, the materials that we need are a 4.5 mm crochet hook. These are the two colors that I'll be using to make this bonnet. Scissors. So let's begin. For making the main portion of the bonnet, I'll be using this light yellow colored yarn. So make a magic circle. And into this magic circle, work 12 double crochets. Now after working the 12 double crochets inside the magic circle, I have pulled the tail of the magic circle in order to close it, and we shall slip stitch on top of the first double crochet work in order to end the first round. Now for the second round, work one chain and work 2 double crochets into the first stitch. Now moving to the next stitch, we will be working 2 puff stitches in form of a V. That is, we will be working 2 puff stitches separated by a chain 1 space. Now each puff stitch is done using 6 loops. So for that, yarn over, insert your hook inside the stitch, pull up a loop. Again yarn over, insert the hook, pull up a loop, again yarn over, insert and pull up a loop. So in total we have 6 loops. Yarn over, pull through all the 6 loops. We have 2 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Work a chain. Now moving to the same stitch, work one more puff stitch of 6 loops. Yarn over, pull through all the 6 loops, again yarn over, pull through the 2 loops. So in this way I have worked 2 puff stitches in form of a V. Now moving to the next stitch, again work 2 double crochets. So this is the pattern sequence of this round. Into the first stitch, work 2 double crochets. Moving to the next stitch, work 2 puff stitches of 6 loops each in form of a V, that is separated by chain 1 space. Again move to the next stitch, work 2 double crochets. So just repeat with this pattern sequence till the end of the round. So here I have come to the end of the second round where I have done 2 double crochets and 2 puff stitches in form of a V alternately. So in order to end this round, slip stitch on top of the first double crochet worked. So that finishes the second round. Now for the third round, work one chain. And here we have the 2 double crochets worked in the previous round. Now going to the top of the first double crochet, work 1 double crochet. And moving to the second double crochet, work an increase. That is, we will be working 2 double crochets all into the same space. So in total, I have worked 3 double crochets. Now moving to the chain 1 space between the puff stitches worked in the previous round, work 2 puff stitches in form of a V. So here I worked the first puff stitch, work 1 chain, again going to the same chain 1 space, work 1 more puff stitch. So in this way, in the chain 1 space, I worked 2 puff stitch. Now again, moving to the 2 double crochets worked, going to the top of the first double crochet, work 1 double crochet, and into the next double crochet, work 2 double crochets. So in this way we are increasing the number of double crochets in the round. So just continue with this pattern sequence, working 3 double crochet followed by a puff stitch in form of a V, again working 3 double crochets throughout the entire round. So after working the last V-shaped puff stitch, I have a slip stitch on top of the first double crochet worked. So here you can see each V-shaped puff stitch is separated with 3 double crochets. Now as we progress through the rounds, we will be gradually increasing on top of the double crochets, and into the chain 1 space of each of the V-shaped puff stitches, we will be working a V-shaped puff stitch. So now moving to the 4th round, work 1 chain, and here we have 3 double crochets. So on first 2 double crochets, work 1 double crochet each. And into the last double crochet, we will be working an increase, that is 2 double crochets. So in total, I have worked 4 double crochets. Now moving to the chain 1 space, we will be working a V-shaped puff stitch. So this is the pattern sequence of this round. Working 1 double crochet into the first 2 stitches, followed by an increase, that is 2 double crochet into the 3rd stitch. So in total 4 double crochets, and moving to the chain 1 space, work a V-shaped puff stitch. So just continue with this pattern sequence till the end of the round. So after working the last group of puff stitch, I have slip stitch on top of the first double crochet worked. So here we can see each set of puff stitches are separated by 4 double crochets. Now for the 5th round, work 1 chain and work 1 double crochet into the first 3 stitches. So here I have done with the 3 double crochets. Now moving to the 4th stitch, work 2 double crochets. So in total I have 5 double crochets. Moving to the chain 1 space, work a V-shaped puff stitch. So this is the pattern sequence of this round, working 5 double crochets and into the chain 1 space, work a V-shaped puff stitch. So just continue with this pattern sequence till the end of the round. This is how our bonnet looks after working the first 5 rounds. Now we'll be working the 6th round. Work 1 chain and into the first 4 stitches, work 1 double crochet each. I have worked the 4 double crochets. Now moving to the 5th stitch, work an increase. There is 2 double crochets into the same stitch. So in total I have worked 6 double crochets. And as we had done in the previous rounds, moving to the chain 1 space, work a V-shaped puff stitch. So this is the sequence of this round, working 6 double crochets followed by 1 V-shaped puff stitch into the chain 1 space. So just continue with this pattern till the end of the round. So here I have come to the end of the 6th round. The next round, that is the 7th round, is the last round of working increases. So for that, work 1 chain and into the first 5 stitches, work 1 double crochet each. And into the 6th stitch, work 2 double crochets. So in total I have done 7 double crochets. Again into the chain 1 space, work a V-shaped puff stitch. So this is the pattern that we'll be following for this round. Working 7 double crochets and into the chain 1 space work a V-shaped puff stitch. So just continue with this pattern till the end of the round. So after working the 7 rounds, this is how our bonnet looks. This forms the base of the bonnet, which will cover the back portion of the baby's head. Now from the 8th row onwards, we need not work any increases, but we will be working on the opening for the bonnet. Now as I mentioned before, while working the 8th round, we will be making the base opening. So for that, as you can see, I have put a marker. Now this is the place where we ended our 7th round. So we need to skip the group of puff stitch followed by the 7 double crochets worked, as well as the next group of puff stitch, and mark the double crochet on this side. So for the 8th round, we'll be working the sequence as it is, and once we reach the marked stitch, we won't be working any stitches on top of all these stitches. So just watch out carefully. So work 1 chain and going to the first 7 double crochets, work 1 double crochet each. So here I have done the 7 double crochets. Now moving to the chain 1 space, work a V-shaped puff stitch. So this is the sequence of this round, working 7 double crochets followed by a V-shaped puff stitch. So just continue with this pattern sequence till you reach this marker. So I have almost come to the end of the 8th round. Now I will be removing this marker and working 1 double crochet on top of the stitch. So that finishes the 8th round. Now as I mentioned earlier, these stitches will be left unworked. So work 1 chain and turn your work. From 9th row onwards, we'll be turning each time. And as the sequence, that is on top of the double crochets, work 1 double crochet, and into the chain 1 space, work a V-shaped puff stitch. So just continue with this pattern till you reach this point. So this is the sequence of the 9th round as well as the next 3 rounds that follows. That is round 10, 11 and 12. So just continue like this till you reach the 12th round. From the base till here, I have worked in total 12 rows. Now we'll be working with the base opening of the bonnet. So we'll be now working on this portion of our bonnet. So working sideways into each of the double crochets, work 2 single crochets. Work 1 chain and move into the first double crochet, work 2 single crochets. Going to the next row, again work 2 single crochets. Total I have worked 10 single crochets. Now moving to this part, instead of single crochets, we will be working double crochets. So starting from here till this puff stitch, we will be working 1 double crochet each. So on top of the puff stitch, work 1 double crochet. Into the chain 1 space, work 1 double crochet. Again moving to the next puff stitch, work 1 double crochet. Here we have the 7 double crochets. So on top of each of them, work 1 double crochet. Again we have come to the group of puff stitches. So on top of the puff stitch, work 1 double crochet. Move to the chain 1 space, work 1 double crochet, and onto the top of the last puff stitch, work 1 double crochet. So in total from here till here I have worked 13 double crochets. Again on this part we'll be working with single crochets. So working sideways into each of the double crochets, work 2 single crochets. So from here till here I have worked in total 10 single crochets. Now for working the second round, work one chain and turn your work, and this is a round of window stitch. So going to the first stitch, work one double crochet followed by one chain, skip the next stitch and into the next work one double crochet followed by one chain. So just continue working the window stitch pattern for the second round till you reach this point of the bonnet. For the base opening, I have done with the second round using window stitches. Now we will be working the third and the final round. For the third round, work one chain and turn your work. And third round is a round of single crochets. So going through each stitch, that is going on the top of double crochet, work one single crochet, as well as into the chain one space, work one single crochet. So just continue working one single crochet per stitch till you reach the end. That is till you reach this portion of the bonnet. After working the last row using single crochets, I have cut my yarn. Now we will be working with the ruffles part. For working the ruffles, I will be using this green color yarn. Insert your hook into the first double crochet of this side and join this green colored yarn. Work one chain and into the same space work 3 triple crochets. So into the first stitch I have done 3 triple crochets. Now moving to the next stitch, again repeat the same pattern, that is you will be working 3 triple crochets. So just continue like this till you reach the puff stitch, working 3 triple crochets into each of the stitches. So into each of the double crochets I have worked the 3 triple crochets till I reach the puff stitch pattern. On top of the first puff stitch work 3 triple crochets. Moving to the chain one space, work 3 triple crochets. On top of the next puff stitch, again work 3 triple crochets. So this is a sequence that you will be following for the entire round. So just continue like this, working 3 triple crochets into each of the stitches till you reach the last double crochet over here. After working the 3 triple crochets into the last stitch, I have slip stitched into the next space and cut my yarn. So ruffle part is done. So this is how our bonnet looks after working the ruffles. The last step is to work a cord and pass it through the window stitch pattern which we have done for the base opening. I have already done with this cord. This cord approximately measures about 45 cm. And now for your reference, I shall give the link of the same above. Now we shall pass this cord to the window stitch row by alternately going above and below the double crochets worked. So in this way we have inserted the cord and this will serve as a tie-up for our bonnet. So here I put all the loose yarns inside. So that finishes our bonnet tutorial for a 3 to 6 month old baby. Now as I mentioned, you can work the same bonnet for the babies in other age groups. Now for making this bonnet, I had used a 4.5 mm crochet hook, and the one that I showed you earlier, this is a bonnet for a 0 to 3 month old baby, and for making this I had used a 4 mm crochet hook. So just by changing the hook sizes, you can make the same bonnet for the babies in different age groups. So details of all those I shall give in the description box. So that's all for today's tutorial. I hope you found this tutorial really very useful as well as interesting too. In case of any queries, please let me know through comments. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.